when the joint is closed.
10 o'clock. It's blues time here at WDST, Woodstock, Kingston, Poughkeepsie, Newburgh. Worldwide on the internet at WDST.com. And this is your main man, your big man, ever-loving blues man, big, extra large, supersized. Big Joe Fitz coming to you on a Sunday night, as we do every Sunday night between 10 and midnight. Right here at Radio Woodstock, WDST, for 2 hours of the finest in blues, rhythm and blues, gospel music, soul music, and, well, basically all the good stuff. That's what I'm trying to tell you about. And the good stuff like this, right here from Kenny Burrell, Chitlins Con Carne. Don't get much better than that, do it? Stick around, we're going to have a blues party tonight till midnight.
As another student of mine once said, it was a shock to run into Big Joe because, actually I should set the scene. Big Joe and I and a couple of people were going down to Hatteras Island, North Carolina, to go to do a writing workshop that I run on the beach down there. And this woman that we were picking up was apparently very excited to meet Big Joe, having heard him on WDST and for years. And she jumps in the car, looks in the back seat, and says, "You're not a big fat black man, are you?"
A lot of people, when they see me in public or they hear, "You're Big Joe Fitz," it's like, "You're not Big Joe Fitz." You know, they like a lot of times in radio, you don't end up looking like people think you're gonna look. And I guess because it's blues, or maybe because it's Big Joe Fitz, it sounds like they're expecting a big black guy or something. You know.
So, and that was my first impression when he walked into my class. You know, I looked at the name, I recognized someone had told me, you know, who he was, and you know, that he was going to be in my class. I knew who he was, and there was this tall, skinny, white guy, and. So from that point forward, it was that was sort of the metaphor for Big Joe. There was so much percolating beneath the surface, because I knew about the blues and I'd heard him and I liked him, and there's something about that voice that is utterly compelling.
And muchísimas gracias to you, sir. That's one of our fine sponsors over here on the Blues Break Mexican Radio. And we're brought to you as well in part by JBPL Coffee Company with in-store roasting and over 100 varieties of fine coffees and teas, wholesale or retail on North Broadway in Red Hook. Well, welcome to the Blues Break on a Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen. We started out tonight with Kenny Burrell, Chitlins Con Carne, moving into Linwood Slim, something from his current release on Delta Groove Records out of California. The mellow sounds of Linwood Slim, Last Call. And the sounds were mellow indeed. He's known as a harp player, you probably know, but playing flute there on his own composition, You Never Cried For Me. Well, let's see, today we were down at the concert to benefit Jim Conklin down at the Marbletown Community Center in Stone Ridge, and a great day it was. So many beautiful musicians came out to play and support one of our own, one of the Hudson Valley's wonderful singers and musicians, Jim Conklin, who's fighting a battle with cancer. And so many people put their effort and love into it. The Friends of Jim Contra Band, Too Much Fun was down there. The Blu-rays, Jesse Leger and Cleoma's Ghost. In fact, the Blu-rays featuring your old friend, your buddy, yours truly, Big Joe Fitz, got to sit in with the Blu-rays. Vicki Russell was there, Soul Purpose, Perry Beekman, and of course Robert Bart of the Blu-rays doing the sound. And so many people bringing potluck food and just dancing, and the love was in the air. And yeah, so let's get something from the Blu-rays. They're one of the stalwart, tried and true, road-tested bands in the Hudson Valley. Gary Schwartz, Robert Bard, Chris DeFrancesco, and Mark Hollenbach. It's from their live CD, their version of the T-Bone Shuffle. You got the blues break on a Sunday night on DST.
Featuring Dr. Romo, or with special guest Dr. Romo.
One time.
Joe treat me good, you know. It's like he played a couple of gigs, and it was Mardi Gras, and you know he was playing at this place over in Hyde Park, the Brewing Company or something. He says, just come down, and bring your accordion. So I did, and he just did a great job. He works the audience. Everybody is just, you know, into the music, and he just really knows how to say the right thing at the right time, never overboard. Anyway, he invited me up. We had rehearsed a couple of blues numbers and sort of bluesy Zydeco. And it worked. I had a ball. And he had this band of musicians, keyboard player, drummer, everybody was just so tight. The whole band was tight, and invites me up, and so I'm like, thrilled. We played a couple of blues songs, even a Cajun song, and unfortunately, the piano player couldn't follow the changes. But that's the way Cajun music is. But he put on quite a show. One of the things we had done many years ago was start out a song. I think it was a New Orleans song, Dr. John song, and he'd march through the audience. And so Joe led the parade with his harmonica, and I guess he had a cordless mic or something, and I was behind him with the accordion, and we just marched right in through the crowd and around a Mardi Gras song, and it was just, well, at one point we had horn players with us. I was just in heaven.
This is brand new from Jeff Termis, Trouble with Soul. Brand new record is called The Distance You Can Travel. Multi-instrumentalist Jeff Termis playing on that particular cut. And starting out with music from the Blu-rays, Gary Schwartz, Robert Bard, and company. Swinging at the Ball is the live one from the Blu-rays. You can check them out at thebluerays.com. It's the Blues Break on a Sunday night on WDST. When I first started doing the radio show, I have a couple of tapes of me saying, "This is Joe Fitzpatrick on the Blues Break," or whatever like that. But the program director at that time, Richard Fusco, came to me maybe a few weeks into the show and said, "We need something a little more. We need a blues handle, something zippy, you know." So he came up. He said, like Big Joe Fitz, and
he gave it to you.
Yeah, but actually some of the guys I hung out with years ago in the city, this one guy used to call me the big boy because I was the tallest guy. Yeah, and that was just sort of his, hey, big boy, you know. So it kind of like had a history to it. It felt a little comfortable. I had to try it on for size for a while, but then I've just sort of grown into the role.
And it's all I have to say around your neighborhood is Big Joe, and
Big
everybody
Joe
knows who you're talking about.
Yeah. Smile when you say that. We are back on the Blues Break on a Sunday night. Everybody synchronize your watches. I got my thing together. Let's see, I got about 10:28 or so. Wait, let me check the cell phone. They say that network time is good time. I know you don't get no cell coverage up in Woodstock, so I forget that. It's but I just want to make sure you're on the right hour. It's not 11:30, it's 10:30. And we're up here every Sunday night with blues and more, just having a good old time.
but there he was in my writing class, and he was writing the most soulful, resonant, textured remembrances of Irish Catholic boyhood in the Bronx, and I, you know, I've been teaching writing, or I've been running writing workshops for decades, and he is truly a superb writer. I mean, he hasn't done the kind of things that one has to do to get your work out there, and I'm not sure whether it's worth it, but his is a rich voice from a tradition that you see sort of woven into literature, that Catholic concerns, you know, really lapsed Catholic concerns, because the most interesting people in the universe to me are those who have somehow found their way outside the Catholic Church, but still have a and not more than a fascination, but a connection to it, a deep connection to it. It's just that you know, they got divorced, or they did, you know, they committed some sin that put them outside the structure, but they're still inside the church all the time. And Joe lives a life in a pew someplace.
Do you think it torments him?
I think it troubles him. I don't know whether torment is the word, but I think my guess is that it does trouble him a little bit, and you know, the most interesting people in my life over the years have been that my writing mentor. It was very much in that same mode, and I think it was one of the reasons I was so drawn to Big Joe, aside from several other things. But he has those age-old Catholic concerns about goodwill and service and you know, sort of lighting up the dark cave for everyone. You know, and maybe that's what we were talking about originally, about, you know, what he does with the music and the community, and
he doesn't do it for himself; it's for others.
It's something beyond himself, and you know, I was, you know, another surprise, and this also happened down in Hatteras. He had shown up with a copy of the Catholic Worker, and, you know, and it sort of went ding, 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 ding. Yeah, of course, Joe, you know, Big Joe would be reading the Catholic Worker, because it's about a community, and it's about, you know, connecting with and helping people, and not to earn money for the church, and not to gain souls, but simply to do the work. What you said, to wake up each day and do something good for someone.
Let's see, what else did we hear? We heard something from the latest Madeleine Peru record, which is always an event that I'm looking forward to. A duet with K.D. Lang, and their version of Joni Mitchell's River. And Dean Parks on guitar, David Pilch on bass, Scott Amendola on drums, and Sam Yahoo on piano. Half the Perfect World is the title of that new CD. We heard from Sugarcane Harris, one called Left-Handed Frank, and we started out the set with Sonny Terry. It's the blues break on a Sunday night, bringing us up to 10:47 in time for these words. So what have I been listening to lately?
Yes.
Madeleine Peru is at the top of my playlist for October.
Tell me about
last month.
Madeleine Peru.
Well, she's bluesy, but she's not necessarily blues. blues, you know. So that kind of is the place where I'm most happy. Not like blues orthodoxy, you know, only the Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, but things that have a blue feeling but sort of bring more into it. She's a sort of the confluence of blues and jazz and singer-songwriter, but she has a soul in her voice, you know.
Young woman?
She's in her mid-30s, I would say, maybe late 30s. And there's just a feel or a touch, or that certain je ne sais quoi,
Yeah.
you know, that she has. And great musicians on the recording, too. So, and great production. Everything about this, it sounds great, you know.
Did you just discover this blindly, or did someone tell you about it?
She actually used to hang around this area and come to the blues jam over in...
Willow Creek.
No, not that one, but in
Oh.
Hyde Park,
Oh.
the other one. And sang there a few times. She had made an album, this is interesting about her too, she had made an album for Atlantic about 10 or 12 years ago, a major label,
Yeah.
and it got a lot of press and, you know, done